The Gold Cup is now approaching the semifinal matchups as we will see Canada versus Mexico and Qatar. Yes, Qatar. We'll talk about that later against the United States. And we are going to be previewing the matches for both of these semifinal matches, talking about who we think will win these individual games. I'll pass it off to Lane here to talk a little bit about how these teams have done moving forward in the tournament. Talking first about Canada and Mexico.
Well, I'd like to start with the Canada against Mexico game, like you said. And Canada has really had a great tournament so far, playing in a similarly easy group compared to the others. You'd say USA was kind of a powerhouse, which they are in the CONCACAF region, but not with the team they brought. And I think Canada easily should have beat USA. That came down to the refs, in my opinion. But they did beat Haiti 4-1, a really kind of shaky performance. Didn't look great in the back three, which was the first time in a while, but they handled them quite easily, and then they lost to the US 1-0, which I wasn't too surprised with the way the game started. I expected the US to somehow roll over us. And then we had Kyle Larin go down injured. Then we had Iowa Akinola go down injured. And then you looked at the bench. We don't really have anyone else besides Cavallini, who's an out-and-out striker. But we did do very well in that game. We really bossed the game after they scored on us early. We created the better chances. We should have had two penalties, if not three, but the ref was very biased in that game. And I was amazed with how good we played, actually. And I thought it was a very well played out performance by Canada in this game against the USA. And they also ended up beating Martinique 4-1, which was quite a given. And if you want to talk about Mexico's route to the semifinals, a 0-0 draw against Trinidad and Tobago, beating Guatemala 3-0. And they finished off the group stage with a very good game against El Salvador, which looked actually very close to being a draw. But both teams have very much earned their way here. And obviously, Mexico beating Honduras 3-0 in the quarterfinals, very well deserved. And Canada beating Costa Rica 2-0 in the quarterfinals, which was a massive victory for the Canadians, which nobody probably saw coming for Canada. But it was a great run so far for both these teams. What do you think of this run for both these teams so far?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's been a fairly comfortable run for both teams so far. As you said, of course, Canada did fall to the US, but they definitely fared fairly well against them, giving up that pen early on, which, as you said, reffing did play a part in that. Sure, but anytime, even with a slightly weaker US roster, you can hold them to 1-0, especially after giving up a pen early on for a team that then deals with some injuries. It's going to be tough, and mentally, that can be a tough one to deal with against one of the stronger teams and nations in CONCACAF. But to be able to hold that and keep it to a 1-0 game is definitely something to be proud of for that team. And Mexico, as you would expect, again, not obviously a full roster, as most of these teams aren't for the Gold Cup, but still a very strong side and able to get through fairly comfortably, as they are still the favorites to win the Gold Cup. And of course, still the favorites to win this matchup, as everyone kind of is against Canada, the favorites to beat them as anytime they get to a knockout round, whether that is deserved or not. And so Mexico obviously are going to have the upper hand here. On paper, they have the better team, and as history would show, they would have the better team. But I'm sure for Canada, this is going to be a scenario where they will think and hope that they can definitely give Mexico a better result than they have been able to give them in previous years. This is a better team, no doubt about it. They have a lot more confidence and a lot more victories under their belt to give them a bit more reason to believe that they can do better against this Mexico side. Now, no one's going to expect Canada to go out here and hold 50% possession against Mexico and look like they're just as equally as good of a side. But I don't think there's any reason why Canada can't keep this a competitive game and try and give themselves a chance. The only thing that's really going to hurt them is the fact that they do have some key absentees. As you mentioned, Kyle Aaron and Akinola, of course, are out with injuries, and so it's really going to make it tough up top. And with Cavallini also being out due to yellows, it really makes the attack tough. It's going to have to be a game where Canada are going to have to try and hold out for a pin, or potentially just hope that they can get a bounce their way off of a corner, something along those lines, because it's going to be tough to have that finishing up top. But nonetheless, it's an accomplishment in of itself for Canada to get this far in the tournament, as you mentioned, being able to beat Costa Rica, who were definitely favored in that game. And to get to this point, I think they'll be happy to keep it competitive against Mexico, but of course, it would be brilliant to see them pull off an upset and see themselves into the final.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be very hard for Canada to get past Mexico. You look at this Mexico side; it is extremely strong. The only side to really bring very close to their starting lineup or very nearly their exact starting lineup, having, like you said, a very competitive team, but very strong with Funes Mori up top, Corona out there, Hector Herrera from Atletico Madrid, Alvarez from like of Ajax, and still in the back you got Hector Moreno and Araujo. But this Mexico team is very strong, like you said. Canada is just going to be happy to keep this a competitive game with missing their best three strikers, minus Jonathan David, who couldn't come to the tournament. You're losing Iowa Canola, you're losing Kyle Laren, and you're losing Cavallini due to yellows. And you're also losing your captain, your best player really throughout the tournament besides Estacchio. You're losing Steven Vittoria at the back due to accumulation of yellows. So you're probably going to see probably Stirring step in, or maybe even Liam Fraser or one of the other center backs. I'd like to see it'll probably be Daniil Henry or Frank Stirring. Obviously, your two next stepping in for center back, more than likely Daniil Henry, who is featured in this tournament. But it'll be very tough without your start captain, your three starting strikers, and we've seen Canada line up in that back three mostly this tournament. It'll probably be your back three, but you'll probably see Richie Larea playing more as a left back and probably Buchanan playing more as a right wing back, and it'll be more so a 5-5-4-1 or something of that sorts. Hope for a Hoylett screamer or something lucky from Estacchio to keep us through this tournament. But I do see Mexico just nicking it. I see it being a very close game, maybe a one-goal game, maybe penalties or extra time. I see Mexico nicking it, but I could see Canada somehow getting through this too with the confidence they built up. Herdman bringing this team through with a lot of excitement, a lot of great atmosphere around the country and positivity around the squad, and with the confidence these young kids have going into this tournament and going into the semifinal, I could see Canada somehow nicking it and putting us into the final against Qatar or US of A.
Yeah, certainly. I think that confidence that this team has been able to build over the last couple of years is a big part. Even without some of their core players, they've still been able to get some good results, which is just going to help the confidence even more. So even if they do end up falling to Mexico, I think it's just a very positive run moving into the further run of World Cup qualification in the fall. As I mentioned, I think this is going to be Mexico's game for me at least. It's going to be close. I don't think Mexico are going to put 4 or 5 in the back of the net, but I think it's going to be a game where Mexico are going to dominate the large run of play and possession. They probably win by a goal or two for sure. I'd love to see Canada win it, but I think for me, it's got to be Mexico that'll end up being through to the final. With that being said, we'll talk a bit about US and Qatar. And I don't know enough about the Qatar team, and I don't think either of us know enough about the Qatar team to give a true analysis of the game. But we do want to talk a little bit about how weird it is that Qatar is in the Gold Cup. Now, this isn't the first time that there's been a team outside of CONCACAF in the Gold Cup. I know Brazil has been in the Gold Cup in previous years, which seems even more odd, along with a few other sides. But it feels weird that we still have teams that are quote unquote weak or much weaker than other teams within CONCACAF within the Gold Cup, but yet we still bring in someone like the likes of Qatar into the tournament, who are a fine team as they've obviously got themselves into the semifinals. But it seems odd to take this berth away from someone within CONCACAF. Lane, what are your thoughts on Qatar being in the Gold Cup this year?
Personally, I do not like it at all. I think it is a joke to the CONCACAF teams who are originally from our side of the world, who have worked their behinds off to get to this stage, and teams who are frankly good enough, I think, to beat Qatar, who haven't played Qatar. I think you put up Costa Rica there. I think Costa Rica beats them, advances to the semifinal against USA. I see you put Honduras against Qatar. They beat Qatar. I think you put Jamaica against Qatar. They win. I think even in the group stage on another given day, Panama starts out differently and Panama beats Qatar. That ended up 3-3. I think, yes, Qatar was ahead 3 times in that game, but Panama for me could have easily beaten them. I think USA will beat them. I think Jamaica could have beat them. Canada. I think you could see Mexico batter them. I don't understand why you see a team like Qatar get into our tournament, a North American or an American tournament really, and make it to the semifinals when you have some fun, exciting North American teams here that should be in the semifinals or deserving of a place here. Instead, you're putting a team who's not from our side of the world, not from our continent or continents, and seeing them all the way into the final four, which I find frankly silly or a joke. You could be seeing the likes of Suriname, even who have a fun, exciting team, into the semifinals. But you just don't see it when you go to likes of Qatar, and Qatar have had a really easy run if you're looking at it, playing likes of Grenada, who obviously don't have as a good side. You're playing likes of Honduras. You're playing even Panama. Panama are a good side, just wrong day, wrong time. Things didn't work out for them, but they still got a draw. It's just, I don't know, weird circumstance, and I don't like how Qatar are in this tournament for me.
Yeah, I think it's really a slap in the face, especially to the nations that are on the outside looking in terms of getting into the Gold Cup within the CONCACAF region, and to see that spot being taken from them by a team that isn't even part of the CONCACAF region has just got to be tough to see. And then again, even more so, or even less so, depending on how you want to look at it, for the teams that are in the tournament. Like you mentioned, there are a lot of teams that could be in that semifinal spot. I would definitely argue, and in fact say is pretty much just a done fact, that Qatar on paper is not the fourth best team in this tournament by no stretch. As you mentioned, Panama could definitely beat them. Costa Rica, Jamaica, Honduras, El Salvador are all teams that could definitely give them a good game on their day. Suriname could give them a good game as well. There's definitely a lot of teams that could be in that spot. And so it's definitely a bit odd and a bit of a slap in the face of these other nations to have a team like Qatar in the tournament. Now, full kudos to them. The players, they're not to be blamed. They're just in here. They're playing in the tournament that their respective nations' hierarchy has got them into, and they've done a fine job playing in unfamiliar territory, going over, doing the travel in a region they're not familiar with, and getting themselves into the semifinals. So full kudos to the players. This is nothing against them. This is not their decisions. But nonetheless, it does seem very odd from a regulation standpoint for them to be in the tournament and to steal a spot from one of the other CONCACAF region teams. As far as the game goes, I would fully expect the U.S. to win. I don't think Qatar have enough of a team to really challenge the U.S. As you've mentioned, Qatar haven't really played one of the top teams in this tournament yet. They haven't really been challenged to a degree that I think the U.S. can do. So I think the U.S. will comfortably beat them and see themselves into the final.
Yeah, I think you'll see the US into the final. For me, this is a game that kind of pulls me back and forth. I'd like to see Qatar better the US, and I'd like to see US better Qatar. I don't think Qatar should be in our tournament, and I don't think US is good enough to be. I think US don't deserve to be in this final after the way they played against Canada. And I think Canada or US or Canada or Mexico, my bad, will beat USA if they do end up in the final. But USA do have a very good team, and I think they will get past Qatar quite easily. Like we said, Qatar have not played one of those top teams like a Canada, like a Jamaica, or a Mexico, or one of these teams like that. But it all, for me, it depends on who Greg Berhalter starts. He has been very hit and miss with his lineups, playing Hope in only a couple games, and Hope has scored a couple crucial goals from this tournament. Daryl DK needs to play. He needs to be given the full 90 or close to it. Ariola needs to play. Busio needs to be controlling that midfield, creating everything, doing what he does. And Sands has been fantastic throughout this tournament in the back line for USA, and he needs to have a stellar performance to move into the final for USA over Qatar.
Certainly, US will have to show up. It won't be a complete pushover, but as long as they can show up with the right players on the pitch and put in the proper performances, there's no reason why they shouldn't see themselves into the final. And quite frankly, they should be extremely disappointed if they don't. With that being said, let us know down in the comments section down below who you guys think will advance into the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. It is Canada versus Mexico and US versus Qatar. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. And if you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more CONCACAF Gold Cup news as we will move towards the final and give our thoughts on that final and on the semifinal matchups as we get through them, and as well as all the transfer news that will continue to occur throughout the rest of the summer. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one.